Please stand for pledge of allegiance, please.
Lovely. So Jen. Hello.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I have a motion to open the meeting?
So made. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chairman's comments, this meeting is being recorded and taped, so that everybody please act accordingly. Item number 2, SP 23-009, 120 Sharon Street, Dunkin' Donuts, multi-tenant development modification request. Craig?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant has requested a minor modification due to the change in the requirement for on-site transplanter pads. So I think the applicant's here to explain the requested changes. Bill and I have looked at them and feel that they're actually improvements for the site, and the changes could be considered minor by
Chairman,
How we doing?
members, Doug Hartnett, High Point Engineering, batting for Nicole Dunphy, who you see here often. She has another hearing as a conflict. With me is the applicant representative, Michael Cavallo. The members are obviously familiar with the site and the prior actions that the board's taken on the permit approvals for this. We're here to discuss a minor modification of the site plan. That's a result of discussions that the applicant has had with Eversource for the power strategy for the property. This plan is the plan that was approved by the board, and I've just highlighted some of the areas that are the basis for the minor modification. You'll see the modifications of the next plan. Under this plan, we had separate transformer locations for the tenant 2 building located here, transformer location in for the tenant 1 building, and this position was the dumpster site designated for this tenant. At that time, we thought there would be traditional pad-mounted transformers for the commercial applications for the buildings. Mr. Cavallo has been working with Eversource, and after a site walk, it was determined that the existing full-mounted transformers had sufficient capacity to provide power for both buildings. So the applicant would like to pivot their strategy to not install the transformer positions here. So this transformer will be replaced with just a grass panel area. The transformer position that was in here would be swapped out for the dumpster site, which if you saw on this plan, was actually tucked tight to the building. It wasn't an ideal position because of the outdoor seating area and its adjacent to the building. So we're proposing to put this dumpster position exactly where the transformer position was, and then add a grass paved lane in here. It doesn't get used very often, and then that will allow the access to the dumpster site. This is a much more functional location for trucks to come in on the one-way, front load the trash truck, and back out and then come up to the site. That is essentially the request on my application.
The trucks be driving over the grass to pick the dumpster up?
It's a grass paving system. It's similar to what we do for
okay.
the fire department, but they're going around the building. So. And it doesn't get much use. Pickups are maybe twice a week, Michael, if I would imagine. So this was intended so we didn't have an increase in impervious cover, because we know what happens with that, or the analyzed drainage. We wanted to stay away from that. So between this and that, it made sense to.
I see there's, 6 bollards going around it too?
Right here.
Those bollards are
Around the dumpster?
Oh, in here?
Yeah, is it fenced in as well? Or?
Yeah, it would be, it's screen fence like the board typically likes.
Required,
Yeah.
and with the gates on the front. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, the dumpster, the bollards are there, so that's when we drop the dumpster back down, it's not
Hit the
slide, hit the fence.
So in your memo here, you also are asking about the fencing?
So I'll speak for Bill Roth. That's the planning director's comments about other sites that he has seen in Stoughton, and by looking at this site and its relationship to the adjacent commercial properties and the existing screening that's out there today, there's a rather large, it's probably like an arborvitae type hedgerow on this side, and there's a little less vegetation. I might be flipped on which side I'm looking at here.
On the bank.
So it's here. If you read Mr. Roth's comments, he's suggesting that it would be a better visual look if all the properties were somewhat connected visually with the planting screening rather than just having a fence bisecting each property.
Right.
And that was his position.
You're referring to this right here, correct?
Yeah, so I've got to get my bearings straight here. Michael, maybe you can help me here.
Craig actually had it up on business, but we get some right.
Oh, thanks, Fred.
Yeah, so this is the
East property now.
east side, where there's some deciduous trees. There's a small fencing application. What didn't make its way into the packet for the board, Nicole just sent it over the other day, was a revised landscaping plan, which I can pull up on the screen, which adds some low shrubs under these deciduous trees, and then redistributes some of the plantings on the other property line to just kind of provide a little bit more screening. I mean, I think there's a pretty solid screening line on the west side.
Yeah, that's the taller one.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty healthy and substantial, so it provides the visual screening.
No, who owns those, whose property are the arborvitae's on? Is
I
it
believe those are on the gas station.
the gas station side? And then the other side is the bank side, correct?
There's some on our property and there's some on the bank property. We are, as Craig had said, we're proposing to supplement that edge with plantings on our side of the property.
I think we'd like to see what your proposal is for the,
I actually
The planting.
pull it up on.
Yeah, which is this plan? This is the plan that Craig was speaking about. I don't know if it's the plan you have in your
yeah,
packet.
it's right here. But in specifics as to what you're planting,
Yeah,
you know?
there's a plant schedule here.
Oh, there is, okay. I don't
One's
have that.
the
Oh, I
something
see, yeah.
upside down.
It's very, very light. No, it's the existing that I'm seeing.
Yes, that was faded out here.
Yeah, that's
That's
the
right. So
existing.
you're looking at, not the planting plan, you're looking at the layout.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, because that's the planting.
Yeah.
We don't have that.
we don't.
Yeah, it's up here now.
I asked Nicole to send this over yesterday, the day before, just to address the issue of the trees. So that evergreen line of trees is somewhat in this direction here.
Right.
They had some plantings around the dumpster and stuff before, which they're kind of relocating up into this corner. This is an enhanced landscape area as well, because the dumpster was over in this location previously. So on that side, I think that looks a lot better.
We're gonna, how much, where the arborvitae's are now, it's just tough to tell from the photos exactly where they are on the property line, but you're gonna be pretty close to that dumpster pad. Is there gonna be an issue with how any of those are gonna get ruined once the dumpster pad and nutrition starts to move?
Well, they're off the property, as I understand.
Oh,
So
they're
if
not
you-
on the
Yeah.
property.
Right, so if I'm reading this correctly, let's see if I can see the transformer on there.
Transform.
That transformer is on our property,
Right.
and the dumpster essentially kind of goes within the transformer position, so a little further to the.
I think the dumpster will be right in this area.
And it's, the gate's gonna be straight
Yeah,
forward.
basically looking right down the throat
Right.
to the gate.
Right.
And it's a lift dumpster.
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The other question I brought up the last meeting is, there's nothing about recyclable collection for recyclable goods or anything like that. You just have a trash dumpster strictly, correct?
What size did she make the dumpster? She and I had spoke about that to make it oversized.
This is 20, right? This is 16, so yeah, if there are 6 by 6, 4-yard dumpster, then you could put 2 in there.
Okay, all right.
When this project first came up, that fence and stuff above the retaining wall was an issue with the neighbors and what was going on with it. And I thought we had put in a fence, so we were resolving that issue. Nothing happened with that fence now?
I don't believe there was a proposal to replace it in the original submission. I don't know if there was a condition to upgrade the fence or otherwise do something with it.
The one,
I believe the previous approval was discussing the fence back here in the wood line. That was, there was a neighbor that was concerned with the condition of that
Right,
fence.
and we talked about.
And they wanted that removed. That's still part of the plan. That's
Okay, but not that fence up there.
No, that one never really made it into the decision.
I thought we had discussion about that fence on the
There
wall.
was discussion about the wall itself.
In the wall, whether it could be veneered or painted or
Well, actually,
growing ivy on it or something.
the basic conversation, remember, about the wall is structurally,
Right.
is it sound?
So that answer is yes, there's no evidence that the wall is leaning or sliding or anything to that effect. So regarding the fence, the applicant, that fence is providing fall protection. It doesn't do anything other than that. It's not screening anything because you have a vegetated hillside, right? So Mr. Cavallo is in a position to take that fence out and perhaps even just put like a chain link fall protection fence at the top of the wall. Again, the fence doesn't really provide any visual screen because you have the vegetation in the rear. If that's, or thinks that that's not an appropriate fence material, then we could replace the stockade in kind so that it looks a little better than what's there today.
And what about the face of the concrete wall? Are they painting it or veneering it?
I would suggest that we only be sandblasting it, power washing it, and cleaning it up.
On the drawing, I don't see anything, don't recall anything about snow removal and where it would be put.
There they were.
That might have been done on the previous submission.
Yeah, I was on the previous drawing, so it was back in here from.
And in fact, we'll have more snow storage area at the long corner here where that was designated for the transformer.
Well, I mean, specifically, we're looking at two items, Doug. One is the relocation of the dumpster and elimination of the pad. And the second question is the fencing alongside. Those are the two questions we have on that.
Yes.
For minor modifications.
Yeah, just, Mr. Kelly, for everybody's understanding, the removal of the fencing on the left and the right side is not the applicant's.
I understand that.
That wasn't their proposal, but the applicant is willing to do either, because where we're going with this. So it's really the board's will.
The only thing I'd like to see then is if that fence comes down, the upper fence, I'd like to see a 4-foot chain link, black chain link fence going across the top.
That's a better, okay.
Yeah, and then we put the 4-foot line, I'm okay with the way that site is, that we don't have the white. There is a fence back here that still needs to be dealt with the modification. I don't want to change any of that dealt with the neighbor back there. Other than that, I don't have any issues. Anybody else have any questions? Any questions from the audience? Anybody, members of the audience want to talk? Craig, anything else on this? Okay, so I want to take a vote of the board as long as we believe this is a minor modification.
Like a motion to approve the minor modification.
Second. Yeah. So the two items on it are the relocation of the dumpsters per this plan, elimination of the transformers, and the allowance to remove the white fencing along the sides of the property, and then replace that stockade fence with a 4-foot chain link fence.
And you are gonna sandblast the wall, right? Clean
It would be power washes.
power wash and clean up.
Okay? All in favor?
Aye. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Item number 3, continue public hearing for the Stoughton project. The applicant has requested, public hearing notice held by the petition applicant, and SHE Stoughton Company, IKEA, North America Service LLC, represented by Heather Hopkins, For a signed special permit under section 6.2.7, the applicant is seeking to allow an additional wall building sign that exceeds section 6.2.6.5, which states no more than 2 signs shall be allowed for any one business or industrial establishment in BRI districts. This project is located on 1 IQ. I have a motion to accept their requesting withdrawal without prejudice. So made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 4, public hearing to be held to petition the applicant property owner Franklin Sports for site plan review under section 10.6 for an after-the-fact site plan, the sports court already installed, modification of parking and loading area on the west side of the building adjacent to the sports court, access to Turnpike Street. The property is located at 17 Campanelli Drive, Stoughton. They want to continue to October 17th, 2024. So I have a motion to that effect.
Motion so made.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 5, a continued public hearing to be held to petition of applicant property owners Absolute Builders, 932 Bedford Street, Abington, Mass. For special permit under section 6.4, for non-permitted clearing of lots without approval, a stormwater management permit per town code chapter 159. This is being continued from August 28, 2024. Can I have the applicant, anybody who's coming in to talk about it?
Good evening. For the record, my name is Scott Rogers from J.D. Farm Engineering. This project met before you August 22nd. We got 12 comments from town staff, and we addressed those comments. At the planning board meeting back in August, there were some comments made by the board. So we met with Carl and Bill, the town planner, and 2 of the houses were mirrored. So we're able to combine utilities in 2 central locations. You can see the hatching on Turnpike Street, that hatched area, and the one to the right. So that limits the amount of cuts in the roadway and the patches. So that was a good improvement that was suggested by the town. We also revised the drainage system. There's one bioretention area that's located on the right side of the plan down there. There's a swale that runs parallel with the street that connects each driveway, and there's a pipe. We're putting in a 6-inch pipe. The town staff recommended we do a 12-inch pipe, which we have no problem doing that. So there's basically a culvert under each driveway, then there's a swale that connects that particular pipe to the next culvert, if you will. So there's a swale that runs parallel with the road, leads to that bioretention area, and then there's an overflow from that bioretention area to an infiltration basin in the rear. And that also handles some flow from the rear yard areas. So both of those basins are accommodating the 100-year storm with freeboard, appropriate freeboard. And then we obviously met with the town staff, and we did add some more street trees along Turnpike Street. We also improved we located the house, the abutter that's on the left-hand side of the plan. It's a pretty large house there. That was helpful because it gave us an idea of how much screening we actually needed to do. So we improved the screen over there. There's basically a series of white pines that are staggered, double staggered row with some understory planting of rhododendrons. And then we also heard the comments from the planning board, and we addressed the need for the sidewalk. So on the bottom of the plan, you can see the hatched area where on the left-hand side, that sidewalk ends at the right-hand curb cut for that driveway. And so we picked that up and we continued it pretty much in a parallel with the street fashion, but there are utility poles along there. And in one spot, there's actually an ID sign from one of the abutters across the street with some plantings. So we tried to avoid moving their sign or disturbing their plantings. So we kind of had to wiggle the sidewalk around a couple spots like utility poles where we had to go around the utility pole. So I believe we heard all the comments from the planning board, and we addressed all the comments that we got from town staff. So with that, I'd like to answer any questions.
Are those sidewalks in the right of way the way they do?
They are.
Yeah. The right-of-way line's way back there.
What is the cutout? Is that going to a piece of property there?
This here?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a driveway.
I'm trying to think what's there. So,
Greg, on that drainage with the culverts under the driveways, that was increased to 12 inches. Does that kind of eliminate any need for any kind of maintenance leads?
Yeah, that's what we were aiming at, the 6-inch pipes, which they're probably sized appropriately to carry the water, but they'll clog up over time, so the 12-inch more appropriate to require less maintenance and honestly have more capability to carry the flow.
Is that culvert going to be just a grass culvert?
It's a pipe culvert underneath.
Well, underneath the drive, you draw from driveway to driveway, is that just a grass?
A sod swale, yeah, grass swale.
And is the town responsible for maintaining those culverts or?
No, those are actually on private property.
Okay.
Sorry, just trying to get this, huh?
Okay,
Yeah, so
that's that small industrial company there.
yeah.
Okay. Oh, thank you for that. Looks good.
And you can see from the street view that this side of the road's pretty much set up to perfectly for the installation of the sidewalk. There's a small berm, gravel's already been laid in, and then it just made more sense from a continuity standpoint, where the sidewalk on this side stops a little bit further back and we have more gaps. So.
No, you want to discuss that later on that. Hello, Richard.
Evening.
Greg, any other comments?
No, just that we feel that the plan addressed the concerns of the board and the concerns that engineering staff had. And to that effect, Bill had drafted up a decision, which I believe is in fact.
One quick question I have is the screening that you described on the southern end where the other house is, the neighbor, was that discussed with the neighbor at all?
No, she actually texted one of our surveyors. She has a potentially different approach than what I have, but when I heard what she talked to our surveyor about, I think she was recommending that we use bamboo, which is a good plant to use, in August and May, but, in October, November, it's gonna die and be sticks. So in January, she's gonna have sticks to look at. So that's why I went with the white pines. And I talked about that with Bill Roth. White pine's a native plant. It grows, a foot a year.
Yeah.
I know there's gonna be branches. So I guess I'll leave that to discussions with the applicant if they want to discuss switching or whatever, but.
That bamboo is so invasive, it just gets out of control in the summer. It's, and you cut it 4 times in one summer, down to nothing, and it comes back.
Is there any other comments from the public that needs to be here? Please come up to the, put your name, state your name.
Hi, Jennifer Wolf, 860 Turnpike Street. So I saw this afternoon that you did choose the white pines for the buffer, and I do appreciate that you put something in there. The house is very, very close to that property line. And a white pine is not something that I choose to plant 6 feet away from my foundation or my roof. We actually had to pull the top half of one out of the kitchen some years ago after a hurricane, and that was quite a bit further away than anything in that area. If there was something of a more intermediate height, it doesn't have to be bamboo, but I'm hoping to live in that house for the next 40, 50 years, and I'm picturing these trees full grown, and that's a little bit scary, actually. They drop branches as they grow, and that's just very,
As a
very
moral
close.
idea that, I know the evergreens with the deers is usually an issue, but there is a deer-resistant evergreen. We could try some of the straight-up evergreens.
Junipers would be a good choice. Atlantic white cedar and red cedar.
The only thing, we have the understory of rhododendrons, which is, obviously an evergreen shrub that flowers.
Wouldn't be able to deal with that.
You're right. The thing about the juniper and arborvitae is you have to plant, to cover that, you have to plant a lot of them.
Yeah, but I know her comment about white pines.
Yeah.
They grow so fast and they get so tall and they become a hazard, weather hazard to any dwellings that are close by. and they will be encroaching, whereas a juniper or red cedar or white cedar is more resistant to tears. And, you could combine the plantings in with like inkberry or, some of the other native plantings. Inkberry gets how much of a visual stop do you want? How high do you want it to be? Are you trying to achieve a 20-foot high visual thing or a 40-foot high in maturity?
No, not 40 feet high, certainly not that close to the house.
Yeah, so you're looking for something that's probably going to achieve a 15 to 20-foot height.
For what it's worth, if anyone who's driven from the north and seen the house, there's that really big bank of windows, and then on the street side, there's a smaller one. And all night now, the turnpike headlights are coming straight into the room. If those windows could be screened, that would be really, really nice.
How high are the windows off the ground?
14, 16.
Okay, 4 feet, isn't that about right? From
4 feet off the
bottom.
ground, and then probably
1 story high, right?
more. It's probably closer to 2. It's a non-conventional structure.
Could you bring
It's
the-
very odd, but closer to
Get
2
that on Google
stories.
Maps.
I don't know if we can see it because it was ordered before.
Yeah, I just know if it's been updated, that's the only reason I'm
And then beyond that, between the properties, just really something that's just neighborly, like, neighborly fence. It doesn't have to be very tall.
So does a fence appeal to you being that far off the property?
And trees appeal to me,
Well, I know, and they're
Appeal,
suggesting
but,
trees, but it's just that
But,
you're not working for what you're doing.
Yeah, cedar's lovely. I saw mountain laurels on the plan. Actually, the deer ignore those compared to the rhododendrons. I've got one in the front yard that does quite well. If there is something that I could say, just in case it can be considered, which is that my mother's flower garden's on the north side of that house. She's had for some 50 years, and it doesn't quite follow, it follows the landscape rather than
The property.
the specific property line with maybe a yard, maybe 2 yards. If there's any way that the landscaping can preserve her garden for her, it would mean a great deal to her.
Do you know if it's on your property or his?
It
If it's
is,
on your property, we're not going to disturb.
no, of course not, I know you didn't. But some of her flower beds just, over 50 years have spread a little bit. And if it is possible, it would be appreciated.
Rhododendron maximum makes a very nice screen.
That's
You know. So you would need, if you put the large enough material.
So, I guess we still haven't resolved it. We've got the findings, but the biggest resolution right now for the public right now is got to do with the screening against that property. And how that's going to be resolved. Because we presented something that right now evidently isn't going to work for her as a safety precaution, not a visual precaution. It's more, she's concerned more with a safety precaution 10, 12 years from now. Which it very well could be by the time how those trees grow. And if it was just a visual, how people see things, I can understand the perception thing, but that's what we're going to perception. She is pretty close there. I'd like to come up with something that I think,
So could I suggest this? Pardon me for interrupting. Could I suggest that the applicant and myself, maybe even Bill Roth, meet with her and we say we're gonna, what we've shown the plan we're willing to do, but we can substitute those plants with, whether it's cedar or juniper or, something appropriate.
I think what has to happen is, so if we approve this, then you're gonna have to come back before us with a minor modification, because the plans won't reflect what you're asking.
So you can proceed, it's just, that would be, once that's settled, it's gotta be in writing with the,
With the new plans submitted.
And I'm sure the concern of the abutter is that's not gonna be planted on her property. So the owner, whoever lives there can allow these trees to grow into any haphazard way that he wishes, you know. If you had white pines there and they're growing 100 feet tall, she can't make them take them down, you know.
No,
So you'd have to have that.
I think we're at that point. I think if we can either take a vote now to approve it with the understanding that you're gonna go through the modification with them and get it, and come back before the modification, or we just wait until you come up with a plan after you've met with Bill and her, and you know, three of you sit down and go through it.
I'll leave it to Carl. I'm sure he wants to get going. So
Rather probably get it approved and then we can come in with a modification.
We're gonna have to just, before we can sign this, we'll sign it with an addendum that the applicant must work with the town planner and, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Jennifer, to work with them to, in order that that screening gets worked out in an amicable fashion. So we'll have to add that. We'll, if the board is willing to take a vote tonight, we can get a motion to that effect going right now. Unless somebody else from the public needs to speak. Okay. Can I have a motion to?
Motion to approve with the stipulations so stipulated.
Wow! That was a way out.
Hey, I'm learning. I'm getting this slowly but surely.
I second the stipulation.
All in favor?
Aye.
So, we'll sign it, we'll sign it, but it won't be, you won't get the copy of it until the modification gets made on this document. It's approved this way, but the modification language will be put into it, then you'll get a copy of it, and you guys can move forward with that. You start your clock ticking anyway, and then you meet with Bill and her, and then come back and forth with a minor modification.
You okay with that?
I'd be very happy to be included in the plans. Thank you.
Very good.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay, we're gonna deduct your pay.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr.
Put your name in front of you so we know what you are.
Why are you not here?
Item number 6. A new public hearing will be held at the petition of the applicant and owner of VFW Brucewood LLC, 30 Ellis Road, Newton, represented by attorney Barry R. Crimmins, 909 Washington Street, Stoughton, Mass. For the case file SPP 24-003, special permit under section 7.1 for flexible residential development. The proposal is to create a 20 single-family dwelling unit residential development from approximately 28-acre parcel with related infrastructure. The property is located at 0 Rock Road, located behind 1 Eagle Rock Road. Assessors map 8, lot 17 in the residential RA zoning district. And the applicant and/or his representative, please come to the table.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Just take a moment. Several members, I think all members of our project team here tonight. I won't take the time to introduce everybody now, Mr. Chairman, in the interest of time, rather, if and when any members of our project team do have occasion to speak, they can introduce themselves. But we have our project engineer here, we have our architect here, we have our environmental engineer here, and of course the client, the applicant, Dimitri Basket, on behalf of VFW Birchwood, is here as well. So this is, back up a second and to keep things in context. You know, the board, I think, is used to sort of a traditional subdivision plan where an applicant would either file a preliminary subdivision followed by a definitive subdivision.
This one, we're looking to file under the flexible development bylaw, section 7.1 of the zoning bylaw. And so that requires a special permit from this board to allow us to proceed on that basis. So what we're here tonight for is for the board's consideration of the special permit. I think part of the, for lack of a better term, a struggle, if you will, if I can use that term, is again, because we're filing under the flexible development bylaw, that special permit would then allow us to proceed. We need an order of conditions from the Conservation Commission. In fact, we're in front of them tonight as well. So as soon as we get done here, we'll be hustling upstairs to continue on our application there. But what I think I'd like to do first, Mr. Chairman, if I may, is to allow our architectural team to update the board. The board saw the concept plan when we were last before you. I forget the date, a month or so ago when we were last here in the room upstairs. There've been a couple minor revisions to that plan since then, and Mike from Rhodey Architects is here, and he can, along with Kevin, they can go through, primarily Mike perhaps with the changes since, you can give an overview, but maybe focus on the changes since.
There actually should be a,
Are we able to pull that up?
I don't have that plan.
You don't?
You have the one that you have on, that we
Yeah.
submitted with the application is the most current. There should be a rendered site plan in there.
Hello?
Yes.
Kevin, I can come in after this.
Yep.
I don't have that for the screen. Okay, well, the plan that you have on there is no sound.
Just bring up one complaint.
This rendered site plan is for illustrative purposes, but this is the plan that we submitted. So the two houses that you'll see that are just on the north, I guess on the south west lot line there, those two have been added. So those are the two new homes, and then we've added, we've moved a home over to the northeast corner near the stormwater plant. And then we're of course happy to bring you through the plans of the homes themselves. This is some new information that I think that you're all kind of have yet to been presented to. So we're happy to kind of walk you through the plans of the homes as well. But that is the site plan update.
And I think what's important to understand, this is being done, there are no interior lot lines. This is sort of in the concept of a condominium whereby you have the individual homes, but really the lot lines, if you will, are the property line, the perimeter of the property line. So we don't have individual lots. We have these homes contained with the driveways coming off of the main road coming in.
That's not, the highlighted is not the actual property line of the entire property, right?
No,
That's going to be a construction.
You see the right angle
Yeah, I
lines
see
there,
that.
right? Yeah.
Limits of the surface.
Yeah. So really, again, the application before you tonight is the application for a special permit to allow us to proceed as a flexible development with the layout that you see there.
Correct. So what are you looking for us tonight?
Vote to approve the special permit.
Well, there's a couple of things. You've received a letter from the town planner
Right.
that outlines 6 or 7 different items, the requirements for flexible development, what the submission requirements are. I don't believe those have been met at this point in time. So one, that would hinder us from being able to give you an approval. We can take a vote, but the vote would be negative. So that's it. You let me know how you want to handle that.
I understand. I was being somewhat facetious when I mentioned the vote.
Okay. Number 2 is you do not have Concom approval, so I wouldn't go forward with a vote without Concom.
And that was one of the items I was going to address with the board, is one of a couple of kind of procedural items as we go forward, and maybe I'll take that one first. As I said, we are in front of Concom tonight. Rich, how did we make out with Concom?
I'd let the chairman know that we would be heard toward the end if that was all right.
Oh, that's right. Okay, thank you. So we'll be going upstairs tonight. In light of the chairman's comments, recognize that the board would want us to get the order of conditions first before you approve the plan. That kind of leads into, and I had a discussion with the assistant town engineer earlier today on this issue, is sort of what level of detail the board would be looking for from us to either I guess the spectrum could be an approval without conditions, it could be a denial, or perhaps it could be an approval with conditions, because many of those items would be things that would, again, if we were filing as a traditional subdivision plan, would be items that would be addressed during that application process. But here, we don't have a subdivision plan that we're filing. We have this concept plan. So
right. So there's definitive items within the zoning code that says you need to follow this to be able to create that.
Right.
And I know that's why it was devised that way. So I think if we follow that guideline, and if you want to do a 2-step process whereby we come by and we approve flexible development and then come back again for site plan approval, or we could do it as an entire package. Instead of trying to have duplications of hearings, I don't mind trying to do it as a package where we would then vote. The first vote we would make would be on the flexible development, and then the second vote we would make would be on the site plan approval.
Right.
I think that from concept standpoint of view, I don't have an issue with that. From, maybe from a logistics standpoint of view, you do, because you want to be sure you have flexible development, so.
Right. I mean, Dimitri, jump in at any point. Our immediate focus and objective is to get the special permit for the flexible development. Part of the confusion, again, is the point you just mentioned, Dan, which is, technically we're not subject to site plan approval as a residential subdivision. However, again, in discussing things with Craig today, he mentioned, I don't want to speak for him, obviously he's here, but mentioned, look to the site plan approval bylaw in terms of the types of items we'll be looking for in the plans.
I don't think the flexible development section of the bylaw identifies the plan content.
Right, and I would agree with you. I think, to me, this would be, as far as my review or our review of this, in order to review this comprehensively, it would have to be a site plan review, based upon the criteria that's within the zoning.
Right, and it might just be semantics. I think it would be, what we would all think of as site plan review, but without a formal application for site plan review.
Why wouldn't we do a formal application?
Pardon me?
You can do a formal application for site plan review.
I think what I'm suggesting is we're not subject to that process in the sense of having to file a formal application for site plan review.
Right, but normally you would be filing if this was a normal subdivision, you'd be filing under the subdivision rules.
Right.
Okay, which would require a site plan review.
No, it wouldn't, not for a residential subdivision.
Let me interrupt one second. I got to run upstairs for that meeting. I'll be back.
And again, I'm not sure if it's semantics, Dan, and I guess I'm agreeing with I think the spirit of what you're saying, which is, again, based on my conversation with Craig today, those are the types of items you'd be looking at. It wouldn't be in the context of a formal site plan approval application, much as you would do if it were a commercial project, for instance.
Fred, do you?
So I would think that the board would have difficulty approving a special permit without a requirement to come back for site plan approval, because they would be voting on a special permit that wouldn't have anything hooked to it to make sure that we have all the information necessary.
And speaking to that point, if you did a subdivision approval, okay, on a subdivision approval, after the fact, every lot has to come back for approval.
Right.
This is a different situation whereby you have a comprehensive site, so essentially you're going to go for site plan approval in the same fashion that anybody else would on a piece of property.
Right, okay.
So that would be the way I would take it.
Okay.
It was just my interpretation.
Yeah.
If you would like to get, and I think Craig would follow me in that interpretation. You want to get on the legal interpretation, I believe you should be following the subdivision rules and the site plan review rules along with the flexible development. And I believe you should combine this as not two applications, but one, we'll follow it through as one set of hearings and not try to do two sets of hearings.
Oh, okay, so are you suggesting?
You do the flexible development and the site plan review, everything gets done all at the same time.
Okay. Is it possible for the board to act on the application for the flexible development special permit, subject to us submitting an application for site plan approval?
You're going to go through two sets of hearings.
Right, but I think
I don't know how, like I said, everything's so intricate the way it's tied into this site. I'm not sure how that can get done.
Right. I think part of the problem is we need the direction from the board of the special permit for the flexible development to determine the types of things that are going to, it's a catch-22 situation.
No, I understand that, but I think part of that is all part of the site plan review. I think you've already had an indication from the board for previous discussions that the board is open to this process for this site. So you don't have a resistance, I don't think, from the board for this type of a process, but the process has to be fully gone through and fully vetted.
Exactly, because if you had, you got your special permit, you could go build the igloos. We didn't want igloos. You know what I mean?
No, but that's why I'm suggesting, Paul, that the board could condition its approval of the special permit on us following up with the site plan approval application. So we can't just go up, we can't build anything without a building permit. And so that's a whole separate process that we're gonna have to go through with construction plans and all of that. So this board's approval of the special permit for the flexible development just says, yes, we're okay with you folks proceeding on this basis, as opposed to saying, no, we want you to file a traditional subdivision plan. That's really all this special permit is authorizing us to do.
The issue I guess we have, and because of by being a flexible development, one of the reasons you're doing a flexible development in this site is because of the utility issues, and you're combining the septic system and the wells and other stuff. I think that is an important piece of this. So for us to say, okay, well, we've approved a flexible development, but you can't come back to us and prove that the septic's going to properly work or the drainage is going to properly work, and then, well, I'm holding a permit for flexible development, but you're not allowing me to do it. I don't want to get into that semantics, I think, is where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's from an engineering standpoint of view, it's an important piece of this.
I understand that.
It's not just, okay, I want to do a flexible development because I have a large lot and I can get 20 homes in that lot by zoning, but I'm going to allow more green space. I'm going to get to 20 lots, but I've got sewer and I've got water and I've got drainage coming through the site, and there's no other engineering issues.
Right.
It's a different animal because of the amount of engineering issues that are coming in behind it.
Right. And I'm not suggesting we not go through that review. I guess I'm just.
No, but I'm just suggesting, I don't think we can put the cart before the horse. I think the two of them have to be married together. It's just an opinion.
I agree with that.
And I wouldn't vote on it, that what you're proposing without hearing public comment and stuff.
Oh, no. Yeah.
I mean,
this is a public hearing
I think the
tonight.
flexible is a nice idea. I mean, it solves a lot of problems and everything.
But it does work I think you could do your two-step process if you had all the issues. You got sewer, you got water, you've got drainage, putting in a regular roadway. I think that's a way of getting the flexible development permit first, then going forward and trying to get the design, and then it's just a semantics of design. This has a much more tied to it because of the engineering ties to it.
Is there any age, is this age restricted
I
or
would love
anything?
to make it longer.
Excuse
Are there
me,
any
excuse
other
me,
abutters here?
excuse me, I'm going to open up to the public in a minute. I just want to finish this discussion, I will open.
Okay.
Okay, I will.
Anything you want to add? Yeah, okay. And I guess my only other question, and obviously we'll be following up with both Craig and when Bill gets back from vacation next week. From what you've seen, are there, and I know it's not to put anybody on the spot, but are there any other major issues that you envision that we should be looking to address beyond the specifics that are,
I think, I mean, overall, we've seen the types of homes you're looking at building, unless they're changing dramatically. We've had some affirmative with the homes.
Right.
We've seen the site, we've seen what you're trying to do. We've all talked about the flexible development.
Yeah.
I think we're all heading in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
We just need you guys to produce what we need to finish it.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. I think does anyone on our side want to add anything? I think I'll comment. Yeah.
Do I have any people here that would like to comment?
I would like to
Okay, could you
comment.
please state your name and
Everything I'm kind of hearing here about the
thank you. Go ahead.
water and sewer and are going to affect me because I'm downhill from this project, directly downhill.
Okay.
And I don't see anything different than what I heard back in March.
Right, because they haven't presented us with any engineering.
So I don't see how you can sign off on anything
ma'am.
until those important situations are.
That's what we were just discussing.
We're not signing off on anything right now.
There you go.
Until that happens. We need to have those items, we need to have those items.
Which one?
Just 1 minute, I'll let you, okay, well, anybody else want to say anything? Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Don Cox. I'm on Phoenix Lane in Stoughton, so I'm one of the butters as well. A lot of my concerns around this project really come from, you talked a lot when you presented the concept about the whole gravity system going to the treatment facility. But at that treatment facility, you're going to need pumps. Our neighborhood loses power often, and when we lose it, it's for extended periods. FM generator services, my generator, they'll tell you that part of Stoughton has the highest generator run times of anybody in the area, surrounding towns included. My concern is with the gravity system going from the septic tanks to a facility that might not be running, how does that impact that facility with that water not being able to be pumped through the system? The other big issue I have is, I think you all seen the site with the 6-foot granite wall that they need to go through before they can get access. They talked about doing some blasting. My concern is the existing underground structure being well, septic foundations, and making sure that there are both pre and post construction surveys done, as well as some kind of fund for both public and private structures in case of damage to make sure that those things
Can
get
I add
fixed.
to your comments?
Sure.
Kathleen Buckley. Exactly, if the blasting and so forth is done and it damages our systems and our earth, and is there going to be contingency funds set up so that it will help us, to repair our things due to the situations caused by this project? I have nothing against the project, except I think it's going to destroy my property.
Yeah, and I
I've
think
been there 38 years. I don't want my property destroyed.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is some of the concerns that you're going to hear from a lot of the neighbors around those particular issues. The other thing that I think partly falls to you guys and partly falls to conservation is the water runoff issue. Phoenix Lane already has a significant water runoff issue during the winter. That water comes out of the wetlands. It flash freezes overnight. And if you talk to the DPW, they'll tell you they're sending equipment down there pretty regularly to scrape the road because there's going to be a sheet of ice about that thick that just grows every day from that standpoint. So I think those are a lot of the major issues, at least that you can hear from people. And then the only other thing that I would throw in there is, I think one of the keys to this development is the HOA agreement, and making sure that it addresses a lot of the concerns and is something that can't be changed without going before either conservation or before the planning board for things that are going to have an impact to the site later down the road for those of us who are going to be living there for an extended period. So thank you all.
Very good. Anybody else?
I also wanted to make a comment.
Okay, Rachel, go ahead.
All right. Hi, I'm Rachel Lazarus. I live on 25 Jordan Drive. I wanted to know about the environmental impact on the website. I live neighboring. I'm not exactly downhill, but I'm in the area. I know that we're on wetlands. I also know that because of the predictions of the future environmental changes, part of climate change, the wetlands are going to be a very important part of our town, absorbing excess rainwater. I want to make sure that we're making this kind of plan with a look towards the future, and not kind of cutting off our nose and ruining one of our natural resources in order to build a fairly small housing development overall. I also wanted to point out that the town master plan has a lot of discussion about wanting to have more mixed-use housing in the town, not just single-family dwellings. But I'd also like to point out that the traffic in that area is already pretty high. There's not a lot of roads around there. Congestion could get really high. There's a lot of potential externalities that we, the people who already live there, are going to bear the cost. Thank you.
Okay, a lot of those will be addressed when the plans come in to us, so some of those will be addressed.
And they do have to go through conservation as well. They do have to go through conservation as well, so you
They
might
will have to go through conservation as well, but these are also things that we need to know that they're already thinking about.
This board absolutely looks at those issues as well, so stormwater management, the environmental impacts as well, so that's all incorporated in part of the review.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else, what was your
Yeah.
Go ahead.
My name is Kate Swartz. I live at 2206 Bay Road, and I am also downhill. And I want to echo my neighbor's concerns about the septic and the drainage and whatnot. But one thing that I think Don kind of touched on was the drain water issue. And I already get a good amount of water in my basement. We've had to install a French drain, and we had it fail one time and got about 6 inches of water in our basement. And I'm just concerned about also how that's going to affect our property. We're going to have even more flooding. So the environmental issues, the wastewater treatment, everything that everyone else has mentioned. Thank you.
Yeah, and can I just speak, Kathleen Buckley, exactly what the two of them are saying. Our protections, like if the electricity gives out on the septic systems up the hill and the water systems up the hill, it's gonna come down the hill. And I have never had a drop of water in my basement, and I like it that way. And, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it's like, it seems to me that it could very possibly happen. And I also don't know how long these people are gonna be in their houses. Like if they start leaving their houses, 5 years down the road, and there's problems, who's gonna handle that? The house is going to be unsaleable. I mean, it's really not my problem, but it is my problem. Because everything that goes with their house is going to fall apart.
Thank you.
Hi, Sean Hardy. I live at 2046 Bay Road, and I live right at the bottom of the hill. And it's I have well water. Like you said, it's already wetland. So how much is there going to be clear cutting? Like when you get rid of that, that's less that absorbs the water, so it ends up at my basement. I'm definitely concerned about the well water, and that's pristine woods. There's tons of wildlife out there. There's mink, owls, deer. There's tons of unlimited stuff. So, is it just going to be a clear cut, bare hill with houses on it?
No.
Okay, it's just
Yeah.
I have a lot of concerns about the
No, no.
environmental and my own drinking water stuff.
Okay. Does anybody else have any comments? You guys want to say anything? Do you guys have anything you want to say at this point?
No.
Okay.
We heard everything.
I'm assuming you're going to request a continuance.
Yeah, and I think, unless your schedule has changed, November 14th, I believe is your next, well, after next week is your next.
So are you going to be prepared to go through the full set of plans at that point in time?
No, we're going to be at least
2 months. Okay, December.
Yeah, to be legitimate.
December 12th, I think it was.
See the first Tuesday, second Thursday.
Yeah, we sure.
I think it was, I think that's what Jill had mentioned. December 12th is the second Thursday.
Yeah, because we'll only have the one meeting in December. Okay, so you're going to request a continuance December 12th.
Yes, please, Mr.
Can I have a motion to that effect?
So made.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We can have a sidebar, have an answer all your questions if you like. Outside. We gotta go to conservation, yeah. Oh, yeah, we got a conservation.
Yeah. You mind, Rick?
Yeah.
So any other business anybody has?
They don't have a fire.
Can I have a motion to close the meeting?
Somebody else something around there.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Monday it's 9.